I was very, very hesitant about jumping into a relationship with one of my best friends. So I just didn't know what that would look like. And I think there's definitely some fear and I think there was definitely some back and forth, do I have these type of feelings for this person, or is it just like a really, really close friendship?
You're listening to With You Podcast, where we talk about real relationships and life transitions. I'm David.
And I'm Tara, and this season we'll be exploring marriage.
Yeah, we'll be hearing couples tell their stories from different ages, stages, and backgrounds.
And we all have a lot to learn from each other, so let's get started.
Sounds good. Well, we are so excited to welcome you all back. We get to talk to a couple that isn't quite yet married. And so we're going to have an interesting conversation with Ethan and Cassie about their anticipation, about their story, all sorts of fun.
Right. So the freshest couple in the story series for sure.
They still smell like new car.
Yeah. So we're going to just have you guys introduce yourselves first. So just tell us your names and
where God put you on this earth.
Yeah, right. Where you're from and maybe how you know us, because we do know you a little bit, and then we'll just go from there.
Awesome. Yes. So my name's Ethan Laird. I was born in Westmont, Illinois. And I still live in Wheaton. So I've been around the Illinois area for my whole life. But yeah, I've known Tara and David for a very long time, as I'm very close friends with their son, Ryan. So we've grown up together. And so, yeah.
And I'm Cassie. I'm from Michigan, like the middle of the state. It has a village of 900 people. So I wouldn't even say the name because no one will know. And I know these two from Ethan because he's friends with Ryan. And I'm very happy about that.
Yeah, we've gotten to know you recently, Cassie, and we're excited to welcome you to the family because Ethan's kind of just part of the gang here. Yeah.
Well, we want to ask you a couple of questions to start out with. What have you learned over the course of your life about marriage, and where have you learned it?
Yeah, I can start. So, I mean, growing up, my parents have been married my whole life. And I mean, I've just always grown up with this sort of expectation that I was going to grow up and find my wife and be married one day. And that was just this assumption that went for so long. And then like come college time is when I really started thinking like, wow, my parents got married when they were 23 and 24, I think. And that's coming pretty quick for me. And so, and then, I mean, taking it a little further, I mean, the conversation kind of really started when I met Cassie. We met our very first or second day of college. And, ever since then, we've kind of grown together. And once we started dating, eventually that kind of become more of a real conversation. And so it's kind of blossomed into that so far. But
yeah, so knowing you wanted to be married and that was kind of just the life course developmental stage, what do you think marriage is?
Do you have a picture of that in your head, what you wanted it to look like?
Yeah, no, I mean, back then, to me, it just seemed like this perfect little thing that will just happen to two people when they meet. And then all of a sudden, everything's just answered, have a couple kids, get a job, and then you'll be good to go. Yeah. And that has obviously shifted a lot. And I think, especially for myself, like even in high school, like the challenges and stuff that come with meeting people and with dating and seeing the true complexities of what it looks like to have two people come together and try to kind of figure out sharing this life together. It means a lot more than I originally thought.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of morphed into now, and we're going through marriage counseling right now. So I think it's morphed into this idea that it's mostly rooted in our faith and seeing that it's this becoming one through God and growing in this partnership and this companionship between the two of us.
Yeah. So Cassie, for you, what were some of your influences like growing up that shaped what you think of marriage?
I think if I had to say something, I have always wanted to be a mom. And so I think I just made the assumption that, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being a mom and not being married, but my assumption was, oh, to be a mom, I'll get married. So I think it kind of rooted from that because I really want to be a mom. So, and then obviously when I got older and then once we got into college, like getting married sounds wonderful and it will be wonderful. And I'm so excited for all that holds.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you guys have any kind of models that you looked to of like, it sounds like your parents were some people that you looked to for what marriage looked like. Sometimes there's negative influences too that make you kind of think, I don't know if that's for me. Did you have any of those kind of thoughts beforehand?
Um, Honestly, I don't think I ever did. Um, but I think I've seen some negative things from other people that have just kind of been like, try not to do that in your relationship, but it's never pushed me away from the idea of marriage.
Mm. Hmm.
I've had a little bit of both. I think growing up, my parents, of course, being kind of the number one of people that I look to and see a couple who, as I grow up and learn to understand more of what it looks like to be in marriage, like seeing the longevity of their relationship and how much they work at it and all of what goes into it. I think that's been a really good model for me. And then on top of that, I think my parents have been through a bunch of small groups and everything. So a lot of the kids I've grown up with also have parents who are in very similar areas of their marriage, similar walks of life. And so I think I've had a lot of different places I can look and see how so many people differently go about their marriage and how they figure it all out together. And so I think it's been a really good thing for me to be so closely uh, involved and be able to just see that through growing up and whatever. And then I think some of the not so great instances come from just about everybody else. We have very poor history of divorce and remarriage and everything like that. So I think I saw the ugly side of what can be and what can come of it if there isn't work done, if there isn't ultimately a commitment to faith and walk alongside Christ through that. So I think I've grown up with a healthy balance of both to kind of put it in realistic standards,
Hmm.
but then also have some really good examples of it.
Yeah, that's good because it's not the starry-eyed like, oh, it's just the
Right.
happily ever after for everybody. And
Right.
yeah.
Well, and I think the two things of work and having the focus on our relationship with Christ as then an expression of love in the relationship, those two things are really important. It's really cool to hear you say that's kind of where you guys are starting and thinking about that being the foundation.
Yeah, it's cool that you had some really good influences, and it sounds like you already kind of had marriage on your mind as a next step as you were, getting older and going to college. Were you thinking you'd find each other this early? Was that kind of like, right, were you aiming for that? We're kind of getting towards like what's the meat story?
Yeah.
How did it happen? It sounds like it was very early
Were
on.
there angels and just
Yeah,
kind of,
there were
oh,
angels singing, yeah, and it was this whole,
And
it was
light
Yeah.
this
shining
moment.
behind you.
Kat's the master of this story, so
Yes,
I'll turn that one to her.
we will. I was not expecting to meet my soon-to-be husband as early as I don't even think I was even thinking about marriage my freshman year of college. So not expecting to meet or get married this early. We met our very first day at Hope College. I had a boyfriend, he had a girlfriend, so we started off as friends. We were very good friends, and then obviously we broke up with them.
Well, not obviously yet. We have to get to that
yeah,
part.
no, we want to hear that whole story.
Yeah,
No,
no,
So
there's some time in between.
yeah.
yeah,
So,
walk us through
yeah,
that.
what'd you
So
like as
yeah,
friends?
Yeah.
what did you
So
like about each other? What drew you to each other at the beginning that led you to even be friends?
Yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I think I speak for both of us, but especially myself, just like there was this instant click. I don't really know what exactly it was. I think we were both very just kind, smiley people who love to laugh and just have fun. And so, and also at the very beginning of college, those first few days of orientation, you're just like grabbing on anybody who is willing to interact with you, because you're like, I need to make some friends here. I know nobody.
Yeah,
So
and I was kind of going around talking to every single person I saw. So
yeah,
I was just trying to meet everyone. So these ones stuck.
yeah, yeah, and it was very apparent that we would be very close friends and pretty much best friends
Yeah.
very quickly into our just time at school, and that eventually like ended up as each of us broke up with our other significant others, we were like helping the other one through it and like just being that like person who would comfort and like listen.
I see.
Yeah, and it was in my mind, at least, I don't know about Cassie, but for me, I was just like, well, this is great to have such a good friend.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, and then there was just that progression over that year of college. So we officially started dating come the end of summer of our end of freshman year. So just as sophomore year was beginning, we started dating, but the conversation definitely started pretty heavily towards the end of the school year, the previous year. So I would say we went like a good, how many, like 6 months before we really started thinking about it. But
I was more into Ethan before he was more into me. So we had the conversation and then he had to think about it. So
you had to kind of lay it out there.
Yeah.
Sometimes us guys need someone to kind of knock on our heads a little bit of like, hey, buddy, I like you. That's partly why
like
I'm here all the time.
I really like you.
I was the last one of all of our friends to know. So.
Yeah. So what were those qualities? It sounds like at the beginning it was, you guys clicked as friends. So it didn't start out as like an initial like attraction, start going out. But what were the qualities that kind of meant that you guys were meant to be friends?
I think for me, so I had met Ethan with two of our other really good friends. And for me, I wasn't super, I guess, big into my faith in high school. And so going into, especially Christian college, it was something I wanted to focus on. And so the people that I had met, specifically like him and his friend group, were super like passionate about that things. And they set aside time for it. And I thought that was something that would be really good for me. And it was a very good community to be a part of. So that attracted me. Ethan's smile attracted me.
He is a smiley guy.
Yeah, he's smiling. It is quite beautiful.
He's funny. He likes to have fun. And he's easy to go along with. So that was kind of what I was drawn to.
And Ethan, you said humor, but what else?
Yeah, humor was definitely one of the start. I think the scene, the way Cassie treated everybody and the genuine care, and this is like one of the top qualities that I just absolutely cherish about her is when she has a friendship, how much weight she puts into that and how much thought and time she like truly lets everybody know that she really cares about them. And so to see that, I was like, this is definitely a great person that I want to surround myself with. And like you hear the saying, like you're a combination of your 5 best friends or whatever. And I definitely wanted her to kind of be in that circle, to influence me and help me grow in those ways.
So you found each other really good friends, and Cassie, you're like, and 6 months later, you guys are dating. What was that like? Like smooth parts, difficult parts, and how did you then start to realize, oh, this might be a forever?
Well, and the conference. So when was the switch? Because it sounds like you kind of laid your feelings out there. Did Ethan respond by asking you out? Like how did that go?
Ethan actually sat me down for the conversation because at that point I was pretty obvious that I liked him. So it was in March. He kind of sat down and was like, "Hey, I know you like me. Here's the deal." And he was afraid of like not being friends if we dated and it went poorly,
Mm-hmm.
which is a good thing to be scared of.
So he told you, like, we got to figure this out where we're going. Yeah.
Yeah. And then after that, he wanted to take the summer. So we kind of just hung out a lot in March and April, and then took the summer. He was like trying to hang out with friends to see if he like missed me and all that good stuff. And then we hung out in July over the summer, and then he asked me to be his girlfriend.
So he missed you.
Yeah,
He missed me.
missed her a lot.
He missed me.
Yep. Yeah. And I think a lot of it too was I didn't want to jump into a relationship right before summer when she'd be in Michigan,
Yeah.
I'd be around here, and just like trying to juggle that right at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think there were already a fair amount of question marks for me, because I was very, very hesitant about jumping into a relationship with one of my best friends.
Mm-hmm.
So I just didn't know what that would look like. And I think there was definitely some fear, and I think there was definitely some back and forth, whether do I have these type of feelings for this person, or is it just like a really, really close friendship? I don't know. So
yeah. So how do you work that? I mean, that's a good question, Ethan, because I know a lot of people who are dating. That was kind of a question. We started as friends too, and that there's kind of a turning point where you have to decide, what is this? Does it go the distance?
And I think I was more like Cassie. And Tara was more like Ethan.
Yeah,
like, why wreck a good thing? I'm like, it could be better.
Yeah.
You know what? For me, I will say our friend group was all guys. So I hung out with like 9 guys all the time. And the only person I was ever attracted to was Ethan. So it was a little easier for me, because I was like, oh, if I don't like any other guys, like, Yeah. So that's how I could figure it out. But
yeah. So how did you go about determining, like, so what are these feelings, and is it the kind of feelings that can turn into something that's serious, that's not going to just be a frivolous like dating relationship?
Yeah. And that was, I think a lot of it stemmed from kind of going through, because I had never really had a girlfriend until the one I had going into college. And so going through a breakup after like the first month at school, it stunk really bad. And I'm like, I don't want to ever have to experience this again if I don't have to, because that was terrible.
So it was partly just pain avoidance.
yeah. And like, I'm like, all right, well, I'm looking for my wife here for number 2, because I'm hoping to go the distance, because that was awful. But no, yeah. And then, but those feelings were very, very hard to traverse and figure out and learn, because especially being in college, this was like a time where I'm breaking down a lot of the walls that I knew about myself, and relearning things about myself. I don't have the comfort of my parents and home and friendships here. So I think there was just a ton of uncertainty that came along with it. And so I would have weeks where I was like, yes, and then weeks where I was like, no. And so that did continue, like even into when we started dating, obviously a little less prevalent, but I would go through periods where I'm like, was that the right decision? Like, is this the right path? Do I really like Cassie as a girlfriend, or am I still hoping we still had that just friendship? But yeah, so that it was really, really hard. And I think the main thing that helped me, I think, was prayer was very helpful. I think just like leaving it up to God. I didn't really know what that totally looked like, because my life didn't have that many challenges growing up, like especially in such a easy place to live like Wheaton. I didn't really know what it looked like to truly depend on God for something. So kind of just being like, well, God, this is what I'm feeling. I don't really know where we go from here, but yeah.
Well, it sounds like we know that Cassie's a pretty patient person so far in the story.
She is. She's very, very patient, very persistent, and I'm very lucky that she was.
So, Cassie, what was going on? Like, how did you hold a sense of safety and space for Ethan to kind of ride the roller coaster and kind of stay engaged with him?
Yeah, I think it was very challenging for me, because I was home, like at my house all summer, and I didn't have like a lot of high school friends, so I wasn't like, Ethan was always super busy during the summer, and I really didn't have as much to do. So I think he was able to, I wasn't like able to distract myself from the situation. So it was challenging. So I don't really know why or how I had so much patience.
You got endurance, girl. So
Yeah.
did you guys kind of rely on any counsel from friends? Did you weigh in with people who knew you both and see what they thought?
Yeah, I think so. My roommate, who's a bridesmaid in our wedding, actually, I think I relied on her a lot, and she was always there for me, and she listened and talked, so that was good for me. And then my roommate now, his name is Merrick. He was there for me a lot too, and he would kind of just hang out and watch movies with me, and just be there for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no, same thing for me. I'm definitely like a talker when it comes to processing my feelings and everything. So friends, family, friends from back home, like everybody, I was just like,
Everybody heard about
yeah,
it.
yeah, here's my situation. And like I wanted to have some I think there's probably a little bit of like validation of like understanding that I was feeling not totally unsure and it wasn't all sunshine and rainbows right at the start. And I think that definitely helped me, just being able to just get some of those feelings out instead of just battle them internally all the time. Because I think ultimately that was a lot of what helped me just kind of let go.
Yeah.
And really allow myself to grow into this relationship and really dive into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember walking, I think it was that summer, and we ran into you on West Street and heard a little bit about this.
Yeah, I remember that now that you bring it up. Yes.
Right? We were walking and we had a lovely kind of 20-minute talk right on the corner there.
Yeah. Yep. I probably gave you all the details.
I'm sure David was probably really relating to your angst, Ethan. I'm sure it was very relatable. So, okay, so you guys were figuring it out over that summer, and then after the summer ended, or during the summer, you decided to kind of give it a go? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 1 month before school started. We decided to give it a go. So, definitely the beginning of our relationship was pretty rocky. We were just figuring a lot of things out. It was just like 4 or 5 months, and then it was pretty.
Well, and you guys are sophomores in college. Like, there's a lot you're figuring out anyway, right?
But ever since those first few months, it's been smooth sailing. But the first few months definitely had a lot of challenges that came along with it. I think it was just a lot of balancing things and figuring things out. Just
what were some of those challenges?
I think a big one was like time spent together and how that looks, because we're in such a small capacity. We have the same friend group. I think that was a big challenge.
Yeah. In addition to that, definitely there was also someone that I had like met kind of in between me breaking up and then also that conversation with Cassie that I like thought about maybe being interested in for a little while. And so that was like a friendship, and it was kind of leading towards maybe this idea of like going on a date or something. And then we both kind of backed off, or I kind of backed off of that. And that just kind of continued. There's this sort of weird tension there, like where we wanted to still be friends, but we knew this wasn't going to work. And now I'm like dating Cassie. And so there was this kind of odd like triangle there in a sense, where I was trying to hold on to both like friendships and then also this relationship. And so that was definitely the biggest source of
yeah,
believe it or not.
That doesn't sound sustainable, Ethan.
No, it was not. And I had to learn, and I'm naturally like a people pleaser. And so telling someone that I probably shouldn't really be friends with you anymore and kind of cut them out of my life a little bit, because they probably weren't the direction I needed to be going with anyone. I don't think they would have pushed me to be necessarily a better person in any way, even if that friendship continued. So that was like really hard. But again, Cassie kind of stuck with me through it, and definitely took a lot of tough conversations for it to like really, really hit home at how big that was. And I think after that, once we kind of got through that was like a humongous step for the both of us. It was a big step in trust between the two of us. It was a big step in commitment as well. So I think that after kind of a lot of those, I would say that was probably most like first
that was
semester of
pretty
sophomore
hard.
year.
I think of like a missing piece of that story that I just think is kind of, but she was not very kind to me, but
Yeah,
she was in front of Ethan. And so it was hard for Ethan, like when I would express how she treated me when he wasn't there, he just didn't see that side. So that was something else that was hard for him too, because that's not how she was with him. She was a good friend towards him. So that was something that was hard to.
So it was choosing your allegiance and choosing to believe each other, and yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, those are some big things. So was your friend group a fan of this relationship? Like, were they in support of you guys doing this?
No.
Wedding.
They were all like, they were calling it since day one. We were like, oh no. They're like, yeah, they're gonna.
No, everyone knew. So everyone was okay with it. It was kind of just like me being aware, like, because they seriously are all guys. It was me being aware, like, they need to just like hang out as friends, and I can't be there all the time. So but they were like all in support of it.
Right. So how moving from that, so you've had some kind of bumps in the road, work through it, build trust. When did you decide, all right, we're gonna and did you do it together or individually? Like, this is gonna be the long term.
That's a good question.
I don't know. His mom just asked us that the other day, and we didn't really.
Yeah. No, I think it was a very much a natural progression into that kind of idea that it was going to be a long term. And again, like in college, so much is happening. Like there isn't much time to be thinking like way in the future, because I'm thinking about what internship do I need to get this summer? What classes do I need to pass? What am I going to fail this test? So I think we didn't really think too far ahead about it until probably end of junior year and senior year is when we kind of started thinking a little more. But I think it was just a lot of like, we're just going to work through kind of what comes at us. And once we got through a lot of the rocky stuff, it was this natural like companionship that formed from it. And like I said, that trust really gave us a little kickstart in the right direction, I think. So
So then did you start talking about a future together kind of before you were engaged? Did you start having that sort of just be assumed, or did you talk about it?
I think that we definitely talked about it. But I think for like throughout the relationship, we kind of knew, I guess a big part of it was like we knew each other's like values, morals, things we wanted for the future, and I think they just kind of meshed. And then we talked about getting married, but it wasn't like a big thing we talked about, because I think we both just kind of had the assumption at some point that we were gonna get married to each other. But it wasn't like a big thing we talked about.
No, it wasn't. Yeah, when that conversation eventually did kind of surface, it was just kind of this like, you kind of feel it too. I'm like,
a natural progression, it sounds like. So it sounds like a natural timing too, like as the end of college is looming, it's like, okay, what's next? What's like, are we going on together?
Ring by spring.
Yes. So when did that happen? When did the engagement actually happen, and how?
And how did you go shopping for a ring?
Oh wait, I guess we didn't ask. Like, I'm assuming that your parents were all like on board with this, and you'd have time to get to know the families. And
my parents loved Ethan. I still love Ethan. His mom, she always says the first time she met me, she's like, "Does Ethan like this girl, or are they just friends or something?" That was frustrating. So I think they've always
they're all in full support for sure.
Sounds like that was an easy fit. So tell us how the thoughts towards and then the engagement started happening.
So we originally kind of just started with like, again, it was kind of just this both mutual decision, kind of just like, I think we might want to start looking at rings and start thinking about getting married and all this stuff. So I mean, starting with like ring shopping, it was this like very foreign feeling. We walked into this like jewelry store. I'm like, all right, I'm a child. What am I doing?
Yeah, as what you guys were, what, 20, 21 at that point?
This would have been
I was 21. Yeah.
Was I 20? Yeah, I was 23. No, 22. Oh yeah, 22.
Yeah, you're old for your class,
But-
Ethan. We know that about you.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
still walking in going,
Yeah.
oh, this is not a place I'm comfortable with, or
Felt very unnatural.
Yeah. So, and then, I mean, eventually we like found a place we liked, and we found a ring that she, like a couple ideas of rings that she liked. And so then I kind of followed up with the place, and then eventually bought the ring. It was like in January of our senior year. So we had it.
Just about.
Yeah, about a year ago. And so then I had that sucker just like burning a hole in my pocket. I'm like, when the heck am I going to do this?
Yeah.
And I'm not a big cold weather guy. So I'm like, all right, I got to wait till the spring. I was thinking maybe like summertime or something. And then,
Wow.
Yeah, I had like no plan for like when I was actually going to do it. I just knew I was going to at some point. But yeah, we kind of talked about like expectations for that. And so I think we kind of both agreed on like by the end of the school year, we were hoping to get engaged by. And so then I had the daunting task of figuring out how I was going to do this thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we were both on the same wavelength in terms of like how we wanted it. We wanted to be like a private thing. We didn't need like a photographer or anything. We just wanted to kind of be this special moment between us. So yeah, I had one plan. So that I was gonna do it up at her house. I was gonna have her go on a walk like through the woods or something, because she lives up in rural Michigan. So it's like they have some hunting property and stuff up there that I was like, this will be perfect. It was a nice sunny day, and I had it like in my pocket, in my coat and everything. And I was like, Cassie, you want to go for a walk? She's like, no, not really. It's cold. I'm like, maybe we could go tomorrow. I think it's supposed to be nice again still. And she's like, yeah, maybe. And then come tomorrow, asked again. She's like, no. But
what month is this now?
This was probably early March. Yeah.
And Cassie, are you having any idea of this timing, or like that this is coming at some point?
I knew it was coming, but
at some point. Yeah.
But I wasn't thinking actively.
Yeah.
And Ethan,
when it's happening.
Ethan, you got to be like, oh, come on.
Yes. I like lugged this thing up there. I have this precious thing in my pocket. I'm like, I cannot lose this.
Well, it happened again.
Well, yeah. And so then we also, with a couple of our friends, we went for like our spring break, we went and all got like a big Airbnb in Nashville. And like we had this balcony that was like this amazing look over the city, and the sun rose over the buildings and everything. And I was like, all right. And I brought the ring along thinking I was going to do it in the nice warm Nashville, whatever. And so I was like, there were 3 different mornings. I was like, I'd be like, hey, do you want to go out to the balcony and watch the sunrise? And it was like super early, and she'd be like, no, I'm going to sleep. I'm in bed. Why are you getting up so early? I'm like, okay.
I'm sweating for you, Ethan.
No doubt.
And so I literally tried that 3 times while we were there, and same thing every time. So it didn't happen. I was like, well, bringing this thing back home again. And then finally, I mean, after that, we were in like April, and I mean, that's we were in crunch time a little bit there. So.
Yeah, graduation's coming up, right?
Yeah, and I wanted to get it all out of the way before all the graduation and moving out and all that stuff and finals. So I eventually just kind of was like, got a weekend, we're going to the dunes, we're gonna do a sunset and engagement. And so I picked like one of the only free weekends we had left. One of the only days it was like raining, overcast, cloudy.
Oh no.
We're gonna have to force it. And I like kept checking the weather. I'm like, is it supposed to be a nicer out? But I don't know. It was kind of now or never. So you can tell the actual how it went.
Yeah, we went that day. It was like overcast and very windy on the dunes.
Oh, really
We were the
cool.
And
only ones that
just for those who aren't familiar with Michigan, so your college is kind of on Lake Michigan,
Yeah.
and there are, for people who, I didn't know this before I moved to the Midwest, there's big sand dunes that go
Beautiful.
right up to the beach, and it is beautiful and
For
not what
those-
you expect.
For those of us from Michigan, we call it God's country.
It is, right.
Yeah.
No, it's like weirdly tropical, how nice some of those sand dunes and how blue the water is and everything. But yeah, so we had a pretty sweet location for it.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it was cloudy.
So the two of you went, you had kind of just a day
Mhm.
on the beach
Yeah.
in April, which could be snowing in Michigan.
Yes.
It was cool.
It was like 10 minutes on the beach.
Yeah.
We got there and we were like, oh, well, it's a little cold. And he was kind of walking around, and I was like, kind of, like, we're at the beach and it's cloudy and windy, and so I was kind of onto him. And then he just goes, okay, we can leave now. And I was like, what? We're like walking out. I'm kind of dragging my feet, and then he did it on the way out. But I thought he was not going to do it.
Nice.
That ring, it got around.
Yeah, I knew she knew that it was probably coming on the dunes there. So I was like, all right, I got to throw something in the mix here, catch her off my scent a little bit. But so it worked. It worked.
It did
But
work,
yeah.
So good. So with you mentioned earlier in your story, and it's an occupational hazard, but anytime I hear counseling, I'm like, ooh, I want to ask questions about that. And so you got engaged, you're getting ready for the wedding coming up in a few months. Why did you choose to do premarital counseling, and what's it been like?
Yeah, no, I think this was just kind of something that came along. Like once we got engaged, I was kind of exploring and talking to just people, and I wanted to make sure we go into our married life in the strongest way possible. And I knew that counseling was something that a lot of, like, premarital is something that a lot of people do. And I've heard that a lot of success comes from it. And so I thought that would definitely be the right step, and to incorporating our faith and coming into a marriage with the right mindset, and not only just doing it, but also learning from a mentor who is doing the counseling, who has been married and has been through so much of that and has all the experience, to kind of be able to look at us and unpack us a little bit, and kind of lay some things out. Yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, you always hear the first year of marriage is the hardest. And so I think I just wanted to be ready for that first year of marriage. And so just getting, like, starting right off on a good track was important, because it is going to be hard making that transition. So I think premarital counseling was good, because it's preparing us for, things we're not going to be expecting. So we're not super far into it yet, but
Yeah.
we're excited.
So what's been the best nugget so far?
Yeah, no, I think it was during our first meeting. So we've had two so far, and it's with my pastor at our branch of Willow Creek in Wheaton. So we were just talking, and yeah, he got me emotional. Like, he was just talking about a really rough period that he went through in his life, when not necessarily related to the marriage, but just like he was having a hard time. And I think the way he explained how his wife kind of came alongside him and got down in that same space with him, and carried that burden with him, I think it was like a very beautiful picture into like how truly close two people can grow together. And that was like a really profound picture for me of like what a marriage can be like, because that's not something you can do with anybody without years and years of learning and just breaking down the walls. And he also said, just like being able, all these levels of your heart, just breaking through all of them and going right to the depth, and being able to do that kind of at any point. So that was pretty cool. I really appreciated that nugget.
Yeah, anything for you, Cassie, that you took away so far?
Yes, I think so. We've had two, but we went through, I think it was just kind of fun because we took like this little assessment thing,
Symbis.
the Symbis.
Mhm.
And that was just really fun. It was extremely accurate. So it was kind of just fun to go through that and like see all of these things, or like it was like challenges you're gonna face. So I think that was like we've just done like an overall picture of that, and I really enjoyed doing that and just being
Yeah.
able to see that and
Yeah,
reflect on
was there
how.
anything surprising about that you found out that I mean, I know you probably have been dating long enough to know some of your major differences and similarities, but anything that kind of came as a surprise?
I think there was one surprise, which I'm still convinced isn't right, but we're gonna dig into it. It's probably right, but it's that I was not like, was it willing to change?
Open to change.
Yeah, I wasn't open to change,
And I was.
and he
more.
was.
Yeah, which we thought is very much the opposite, because
Yeah.
she's someone who's like, she could
I was
pick up and
yeah,
move or
I was
change
very-
jobs or whatever at any point, and I'm so much of like a, when I have something I love, like just gripping onto it
Yeah.
and having a hard time, and I'm a very nostalgic person. So yeah, that was one question that
was
we were like,
surprising.
it had us both swapped on the little bar graph or whatever that they
Yes.
had. So we're interested
Yeah,
to,
that'll be fun to dig into.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see how that plays out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't think I was surprised by anything else.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what are some of the things that you are anticipating about married life? Like some things that maybe you're worried that might be hard, or some things that you're really looking forward to?
Mhm.
Yeah, some things I'm really looking forward to is, I think it's just as simple as living together.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just so excited
Yeah.
because I mean, we never have. So this relationship has been 3.5 years, and now we get to finally like just live together and spend all this time together and like sleep in the same bedroom as one another. Like, it's just gonna be all this like fun, exciting stuff. So yeah, I'm very excited for, even though it's so simple, that
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Do you have a
That's a big change when you don't have to say
yeah.
goodbye every night, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Horrible.
Right. I
One
mean, even last night I had to drive home from her apartment. I was like about to fall asleep at the wheel because I just wanted to stay over as
Yeah.
late as possible. But yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm really excited to have our own like home. Like a home together.
Mhm.
And just like have people come over and feel welcomed and loved in the space that we create together. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing that.
Now I have probably an unfair question, but
Uh-oh.
that's me. You're just getting excited about what the next step is of living
Mhm.
together. I'd like to kind of just wonder about, what do you see things being like, or would you like them to be like 5 years out, 2028?
Okay,
Kind
2028. I think that's probably around when we'd start trying to have kids and have a family. So that is it's very much something I'm excited for about getting married, is starting a sweet little family together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just loving on them.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think also we would like at some point to branch out a little bit and go maybe live somewhere for a few years, just to see something new, maybe outside of the Midwest a little bit. So I think in terms of like marriage, I think we would both like to see uh, some adventure and exploration with
Mhm.
the two of us kind of going out and experiencing something new and going about it together. Because that's never something we've really had to do. Like, we've gone
Mhm.
to college, but that was separately. So yeah, I think it'll be kind of fun to take on a challenge and stuff like that together.
Yeah, we're big fans of that, kind of figuring it out separately from all the, like you said, having those safe spaces of family and the familiarity. Figure we had some of those times moving across the country, and it does help you really kind of bond together and figure it out. So That's a lot of really good dreams. And actually, I'm already thinking about the follow-up interview in 5 years from now.
Yeah, yes, yes.
Where we are.
We'll put
Yeah.
it on the calendar.
Yeah.
That's our 5-year goal, is to talk to you in 5 years, maybe over in Ireland or wherever you are.
Who knows? Yeah, right.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I know the countdown's on for the wedding, so it's very soon, and we're really excited for you guys and all that you have ahead. We can't wait to watch it unfold.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your story with us and everyone. It's just really encouraging. So that kind of Christ is the center, and you guys are doing the work, though. It's not just kind of like, all right, well, we have faith and everything will work itself out. You're really doing the work, and it's encouraging for old people like us.
It is, and I think that people will be touched and inspired by hearing your story. So thank you for taking the time, and we wish you the very best, and we love you.
Thank you so
happy
much.
to be here, so thanks for having us.
We love you guys too.
Thanks for being with us today. We hope you'll get more information about everything we talked about today on our show notes page on the website.
I was going to say, where could we find the show notes page?
withyoupodcast.com.
Awesome.
And also, while you're at it, we would love for you to subscribe to the podcast, leave us a review, and let us know what you're thinking.
Can we ask that it's only good reviews?
You can ask anything you want.
Okay, leave good reviews. We would love to hear from you and respond. So
Thanks for listening.
see you next time.